My name's Marco Flynn and I'm going to be reading you a story today from my collection Dental Tourism. This is the shortest story in the collection and it's called Boy, Girl, View. Not enough time has been allowed to tell this story. Time is short and nothing worthwhile has yet emerged. It was going to be the story of a child who became a man and another child who became a woman and how they were destined never to meet. Two stories, in effect, converging to a single plot. Three stories if you allow for the history of the landscape, the encroaching symbol of the view. Wait. The idea dawns that the story of the child who becomes a man already contains within it the dual narratives of both childhood and manhood, two distinct ways of interacting with the world. Similarly, the story of the child who becomes a woman, there already 5 differing points of view, each its own tale to tell. Hang on. Is there not implied in each story of child as child both the progenitors and various caregivers of each respective infant? That is, girl and boy? Indeed, yes. Then acknowledgement must be made at least of the father and mother of the boy, plus the father and mother of the girl. And each respective parent necessarily has their own history, their own childhoods to inform and distort the way they live their lives. Still on page 1, we have in essence 13 stories, that is, if you include the view, each one demanding to be told. I can see already things are getting complicated. Perhaps, to simplify matters, we might allow that neither of the central protagonists, girl, woman, boy, man, is possessed or burdened by a father. That is quite within the bounds of credibility. Granted, we may well lose some of the theatricality and dramatic tension of paternity, but we must cut our losses. Certainly, there must have been a sperm, but the story of sperm is a rather single-minded and simple and repetitive one. And we are not talking parthenogenetically here. This is realism. All right, delete the fathers. That gets rid of 4 stories at one stroke. That is, father as child and father as father multiplied by 2, in both cases, to all intents and purposes, exposition. Assume rightly, a sperm was involved. Let us also assume the common tale of birth, or for variety's sake, perhaps we should imagine 2 different births. The girl's easy, swift, with soft lighting, music, just enough discomfort to make it memorable. The boy's birth, premature, complicated, agonising, as if to prepare for the tumultuous relationships he will later have to face. And, to add a little spice, let us pretend he is born in a haystack, inside a shed, while the family home burns across the yard in a cataclysmic scene designed to hold attention and evoke empathy. Not too improbable, is it? Empathy? To simplify things further, let us have it that both mothers, as is not unheard of in the act of continuing the species, die, croak, pass on. No? That is labouring the point. The fledgling character of the mother of the girl, who, it appears, is in the maternity ward of a hygienic city hospital, would doubtless have been revived by efficient hospital interns well versed in emergency procedures and indemnity insurance. In the hayshed, however, smoke of the nearby conflagration thickening the air, the eyes of the animals bright with alarm at the screaming, the scene is more involved. It is not hard to conjure the beads of sweat, the determination, the pain and blasphemy, the sudden silence. Soft meow of the infant, the smell of blood on the straw. Let us embellish, perhaps, anthropomorphically, the dumb pity and understanding of the animals, a horse, a goat, a cow. Imagine, please, the cow licking clean the newborn of his vernix, lowering her udder awkwardly to his lips, the searching, the latching on. Imagine also, because these things are seldom addressed in stories such as this is turning out to be, the cow severing the umbilicus and tying a makeshift knot, and in time, so the horse and goat don't feel left out, the improvising of a makeshift crib, a harness, a manger, so as to carry the infant with them on their adventures. Such detail shall be added at a later date to add conviction. First, however, they must get the newborn out of the shed. The horse leans his great rump against the door. It is not locked. The hinges squeal for want of oil or tallow. Outside the smoking ruins of the homestead, the quiet but for the coals crackling and cooling, and perhaps a solo violin, informs them that all is not well. Old Farmer Grogan has gone. In the midst of birth, death. They realise that the sleeping, milk-numb infant is now their responsibility. The four eyes of the three, for one of them has been blinded, meet. They will continue to run the farm as best they know how. Orwell has gone. Rising to the occasion, they return to the shed where they continue to live, eating the straw while the child grows, gains weight, becomes a toddler before their astonished gaze. When the straw is gone, the child decides he wants to see the world, so the harness is eventually put to good use. They do not look back at the hayshed scene of their shared past, their happy times together. They leave with the sun high overhead and vow never to return. Meanwhile, in the distant city, the girl has grown, suckled in the conventional manner. Her mother, unable to cope with the pressures of single parenthood, marries. The stepfather, no, this is getting complicated again. Have it that the mother, for reasons best left to herself, puts the baby up for adoption. The child is sent first to a church orphanage, then later to various foster homes. From these she learns to walk, talk, tie her shoelaces, spit, swear and clench the muscles controlling her bladder. This last with difficulty. She eats ravenously. Given so many foster parents, there is no continuity of upbringing and certainly no regulation of diet. Strangely, apart from her nails, she eats cloth, she eats blossom and tuberous bulbs, she eats insects from beneath the bark of trees. Once she eats the tongue of her own shoe. She grows, prospers. She contemplates in due course kindergarten, primary school, secondary school and university in that order, plus postgraduate studies in language acquisition, eating disorders and the effect of maternal deprivation on certain primates. She becomes a highly respected member of her profession. She earns a large salary, although she will be the first to admit that such things mean little to her. There is still a great emptiness in her life that is not filled by love or success. Sadly, her story contains no dialogue with which to demonstrate her academic qualifications, nor reveal the impoverished state of her soul. As stated earlier, both she and the boy, who is now grown into a man with an astonishing predilection for animal mimicry, are destined never to meet. Although their paths may well cross, each remains ignorant of the existence of the other. They grow up with their unusual interests and influences. They grow old. Perhaps one of them is struck down with disease. On lonely winter nights, each dream, in some symbolic fulfillment of their fate, of a mysterious figure whose language they do not understand, yet with whom they sense a strange affinity, the ever-present other, who seems to hint at an answer to their primal query, who am I? Who can I expect to be in relation to ... Perhaps such symbolism is going too far. A longer story would have allowed more satisfactory resolution of such themes, perhaps even a chance meeting on a wildlife documentary. Luckily for us, they have no offspring. Unfortunately, their names remain irrelevant, as if to suggest these characters may well have served some higher universal function. Their identity shall not be disclosed, even in the forthcoming sequel concerning the destiny of the horse, the cow, the goat, named respectively Dobbin, Daisy and William, one of whom is blinded in a farming accident. You can see the difficulties I have encountered in the telling of this story, the intricate blending of biography and fiction, truth and verisimilitude. I hope such problems as I have attempted to overcome may be ironed out with the later inclusion of detail. The characters themselves, I feel, have been sufficiently developed so as to give them lives of their own. I recognise the story of The View has been largely neglected, and for this I am sorry. That's the end. Thank you.